I've been around nerd shit my entire life. And it wasn't until AOS that I found this, like, I don't want to call it a calling because that seems like maybe too nerdy, but like that next level of connection or engagement. Usually my hobbies, my interests exist to like escape the world. This one helps me connect to it.
Man, you are preaching to the choir here, bud.
Right on. Well, so welcome everybody, welcome chat gang to RantCast 23. I am Mr. Mephisto. Joining me is Marrok Wolf. You'll know him from hobby fame. Really sick ass conversions. And I just want to talk to him a little bit about some hobby. So I apologize to people listening on Podbean, Spotify, all those places, but this is one of those episodes you might want to turn on YouTube later when you get home, or go check Marrok's feed for some of these excellent conversions. He throws those photos up there on Twitter sometimes. So I do apologize for that, but fuck it, we got to do it live. So how are you tonight, man?
I'm doing great. How are you, man?
Oh man, I'm living the dream. Not sure it's my dream, but certainly someone's dream.
As long as it's a dream, we're good, right?
Right. All right, man. So I just like we've hung out on stream for a while. We followed each other on Twitter for I think even longer than RantCast was going on. So it was really cool to kind of get to know you via that. Good evening, Wargaming Dad. Go on.
I felt a little bit like a stalker because I just kept commenting on all your stuff. I felt like I was Facebook creeping you there for a bit.
Yeah, that's something they don't. So like when you and this is just like I've done Twitch streaming for about 4 years to middling success, and then like I just took a huge break from it, and then like all the progress I made in that initial partner push disappeared. But like something I identified even then is people get to know you better than you do. Like when you like make content and you broadcast your life every day, and which is part of the reason I like this format, because then I get to know the people right back. And so, but yeah, I mean, that's a risk you take when you realize you're broadcasting your thoughts and your persona out into the world via the internet. So
I'm totally glad I creeped on you though, because I mean, look where we are now. We're
we're famous.
Oh yeah.
I guess at first I just want to start out with like, how long have you been playing AOS, and how did you get into AOS?
I've been playing AOS since it started. I used to play Warhammer Fantasy Battles way back, and I started when I was about 11. And I got started with that by basically walking into a hobby store and seeing the Krokgar on Carnosaur model. Wow. And that was pretty much the end of it. Yep.
So are you still pretty faithful to Lizardmen? Because I know like you do some very heavy conversions here, and I'm going to ask you about some of these in a little while. But you still got that soft spot for Seraphon for?
Oh yeah. I'm waiting on a book, man. Waiting on a book.
Yeah, man. See, I've got some really high hopes for that book. In the same sense, like I had high hopes for Cities. I didn't really have to have hopes for War Clans, because orcs are the best. They're just always going to be the best, right? And then Slaves to Darkness, like I similarly had like some really really high hopes for. And Seraphon's that other one that hits that exact. They're on that top tier of the things that I have just the most hope for, because I think they're the armies that will do the most for sort of both sides of the fence when it comes to existing fans who loved Warhammer Fantasy Battle, but also giving just a lot of credence and sort of advancement to the game that as it exists. Seraphon's one of those armies that just, when you describe their lore, they're ghost space lizards that are remembering their entire race, and they're really good at magic.
Yeah.
And you're just that. Go ahead, yeah.
The thing that gets me the most about them is that like I really enjoy the sort of monstrous humanoid aspect of like everything, and these are monstrous humanoids that are good guys, right?
Yeah.
and you don't have that often at all. So
Mhm.
like to have that as an army is like super high up on the checklist for me.
Yeah, no, that's a really great point because like in non-specific terms, they're essentially order demons, right? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean that's really cool. I mean, right there in the vein with when you meet a gold dragon in Dungeons and Dragons, you're like, hell yeah! Like when
Yeah.
these supremely good beings that are monstrous, and yeah, it just really pushes the envelope creatively, I think. And I mean, they're already turned up to 11, which is what Age of Sigmar I think does, is they turn everything up to 11 on fantasy, so they're already cranked up, and now let's just see what happens now that we're filling in the mortal realms, now that we know more about them 4 years 5 years later.
Right.
So you started, you saw that model at the hobby store, and you're like, okay, I'm in. And just played all the way through, like followed it through into Age of Sigmar.
Yeah, I played all the way through the end times and watched the Skaven completely destroy my army. Watched my other love, which is the Wood Elves, get sort of mashed in with the other elves, and then all that got destroyed. So from about, I think it was the beginning of 6th edition is when I started, and I ended with the end times, and then AOS happened, and here we are now.
Right on, right on. So when did you like really begin focusing on the hobby side of the game? Like, was it a constant thing, or or did you just start out like sort of buying the models as is, painting them, and then the conversions come later? When did that go from like, okay, I'm gonna paint like what I buy, to, what, I bet you I can green stuff the hell out of this into something sweet.
Okay, so if I'm completely and utterly honest, it started with the Carnosaur model.
Really? So like immediately you're chopping that thing up and
I got it home, and I was looking at the box or whatever, and it's so hunched over that it looks like it's on all fours, and I didn't like that. To me, it was a lizard man riding a T-Rex, right? A T-Rex stands on its hind legs.
right.
So I cut him into 3 pieces, and I drilled into him. This is a 11-year-old me with a powered tool, because this is a metal model. And so I drilled holes into it, used a bunch of paper clips to like steady it or whatever, and then I just packed it with green stuff. And
oh, go ahead.
yeah, it was awful, and I wouldn't recommend anyone doing that with the very first miniature that they buy.
but the thing is you did one of those things Vince often preaches about, which is he says paint bravely. I'd say hobby bravely, right? Like you just you showed no fear immediately, so that you never got the fear of your models young the way some of us did, right?
Yeah.
Like you were never afraid of it. So like now it's been a long while, and so you get to go into every model without the fear already.
Yeah, it's like I said, I wouldn't recommend doing that, like especially like it was birthday money, so it's like, it's whatever.
Mm-hmm.
but like it was a $65 model at the time, which was on the more expensive side of kits that you could buy at the time.
Right.
But yeah, like I just, and then I got yelled at because I wrecked my dad's hacksaw.
But it was worth. You learned a valuable lesson about not fearing your models. So
yes, totally worth it.
Evening, Soren. Hey Frank, I didn't see you come in. Yeah. So I mean so I guess so. I'm staring right now. I've got this this anthropomorphic wolf here with the great sword. Do you want to take me through this a little bit? Like, I don't recognize the model at all. That's the base here, but I'm bad at that to begin with. Like, I'm learning, but like
Okay.
this has a really like almost like a bloodborne sort of vibe to it with the pose and the posture. He's kind of like leaning forward. He's got the Cloud Strife hand on the sword there. So yeah, what did you? So what's going on here? What am I looking at?
Okay, so this is my Beast Lord with the Sword of Judgment. So
I feel adequately judged with this sword. This sword does D6 mortal wounds. Look at that.
yeah. So the base miniature is actually from Mercia.
Okay.
It's just one of their Anglican line werewolves. And then I had this idea, like, so my army is dark walkers, right? And it's funny you should mention Bloodborne because it's linked to it, but the whole theme behind the army is that they're like, instead of goats, they're wolves, and they're called the Abyss Walkers. So this guy is my sort of Artorias type deal.
Okay.
This is who he was modeled after. So I have the Dark Souls miniature game, so I literally took the arm and the sword arm off of Artorias and green stuffed it onto this werewolf miniature. Sort of got him posed to where I thought it was an Artorias type look.
Uh-huh.
So like the amount of green stuff on this guy is stupid. Like his entire like torso, his big like furry mane, the ears, like yeah, part of his foot, like it's just dumb.
But I mean, it looks great. Like I couldn't tell what model this is from. I'm like, this just looks like a great sculpt, just out the box type sculpt level of quality. I think.
Thanks,
you
man.
You got the like glow effect in there too, like this noxious sword that like you feel like you're gonna get poisoned, and if you get or diseased if you get hit with it. It's really awesome. So, and
thanks, man.
Yeah. And then so this next one up, this is the one I see. Like this one I believe is pinned. So we got another. Is this another Beast Lord then?
Yeah, that was.
Yeah.
That was the very first one I did. So this guy is a bunch of miniatures from my bits box put together with green stuff, and so the like pant legs or whatever, those are from a model from Bronze Age miniatures, and then his hand, like with the axe, that's from Mom miniatures. The sword is from Yanari. His torso is actually a Zinj Arcanite, and then the head is also from Bronze Age miniatures, and then the cloak is a Stormcast Eternals dude cloak, the Tricothian Riders or whatever, and then like I put that mask that he's wearing is green stuff. The cloak across the front of his chest is green stuff. His arms and his feet are green stuff as well. And yeah,
man, crazy. So you'll go to town with the green stuff to just really bring together these bits from alternate kits to really get them where you want them.
Absolutely, yeah. That is the key.
Man, that's cool. So now we've got a looks like a Lizardman Seraphon model.
Oh yeah. This is probably one of my favorite Lizardman miniatures I've ever done, besides the other one that's in here later on.
Yeah, we'll
yeah. This guy is about 90% green stuff, I want to say. So like I had the leg bits left over from the Carnosaur kit and like the alternate tail from the Carnosaur kit, and I had an alternative miniatures Lizardman head in my bits box, and then I just kind of like connected them with wire and then green stuffed over top. So this was pretty much an armature with the extremities added on.
That's crazy, man. And see, green stuff's not like I don't know if everyone watching or listening has ever worked with green stuff before, but it's not like clay where you like, I did independent study courses a lot in art. Like when you're sculpting clay, a lot of times you're usually adding in a pretty direct manner or like taking away in a pretty direct manner. Green stuff, you have to like really kind of like build it with a putty knife, and it's very particular. Or am I just that bad with it?
No, that's That's totally what it is. Like, I think that the real trick with like getting good with green stuff is that you got to work in layers. Like when you're painting, it's a long process that way. But if you do it that way, like you start small and just sort of slowly build your way up with what it is you're trying to sculpt, you can layer stuff on top, and it makes it a lot easier. You wait for the first layer to cure, then you work on top of it, and then you're pretty much good to go. And then you get that depth of feel, like all these scales and stuff I didn't sculpt in one sitting.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. So it takes a lot of patience. How many packs of green stuff do you go through in a month on a like an average project?
Oh, on an average project, I'd say one. I get hang on here, I got it in my hobby drawer here. So I go to Green Stuff World and I get this big stick here.
All right.
And this usually lasts me a couple of months. So
okay. Right on. See, now this next guy is stunning. This wolf here with the base. He's got this really like sort of almost predatorial, mocking type stance.
Oh yeah, this is my Doom Wolf.
So instead of Doom Bull, it's a Doom Wolf.
Yes.
That's awesome. This is awesome.
So this guy, this was when I was running Gav Spawn when the book first came out, and I was running the Minotaur with the Gnarl Blade. Mm-hmm. So this dude would run around and just ask shit questions.
Do you like ice cream? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man.
This guy's actually a Games Day Skin Wolf miniature, with a head from a werewolf from the Wildwood Exodus line, and but I had to like Dremel the head off of the body, and in doing so, I like ruined his ears and like the bottom of his jaw. So I had to like I tacked it on to the body where I wanted it with super glue, and then like that giant mane that comes up behind his head and all around his face, and that is all green stuff. Like it's all that fur everywhere, like that's, and his ears. I had to resculpt his ears.
Yeah, crazy. So this guy looks cool. So I guess what your Beasts of Chaos, you like, I think the initial reaction, I also Beasts of Chaos is like I often refer to it as my like mistress army. Like I'm very much, death is, you know, always gonna be my main army. But like very much like love the Beasts of Chaos army. Gav Spawn's one of those things when it first comes out, when you first pick up that book and start thinking about making lists, you're like, I'm gonna run Gav Spawn lists. And then like and you really can do some really big sort of casino like slot machine style damage if you set up the combo right. But the thing is that combo gets a little finicky. I found the more I played it, and well, it took like one play to realize it was finicky, and then I got good at it. But then I was playing like the same people for testing, and they all figured out how to like counter my strategy, and I'm like, oh, so I can never get this to work. So I actually ended up moving on to All Herd, and I'm a big proponent of All Herd. You just play the game backwards, and I mean, you're kind of doing like the Seraphon style summon, just every turn here's bodies with All Herd, and that's kind of how you play it. But you're on Darkwalkers now.
Yes, so my first army ever was Lizardmen, and then from there I went to Wood Elves, and that playstyle fits the way that I play with the hit and run tactics, and that like to a T. Like that is how I like to play on the tabletop. Is I move in, I hit you as hard as I can, I move out, and then I'll come back. Like it's and the Darkwalkers for me fits that perfectly. So like my list personally that I'm running right now is literally like 6 units of 10 Ungor Raiders with like I've got the Desolating Beast Herd. I've got a well, I'm running 2 battalions because the artifact for the Darkwalker's army is garbage, and
That's the
I got
shard, right? Like piece
yeah
of terrain, and it does something dumb.
yeah
Yeah.
and I got to have my sword of judgment, so I need to run 2 battalions, and the cheapest battalion, like with the lowest cost, I've found that we have is actually the Depraved Drove. So I run the Depraved Drove with 3 units of Gore and a Dragon Ogre Shaggoth.
Mm-hmm.
And that gives me my 2nd battalion, and then I just fill out the rest with the Desolating Beast Herd. But now that STDs come out, I took out an entire unit of Bestigor and one of my Bray Shamans, because I had 2.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna slot in a Khorne Demon Prince for the movement bubble shenanigans, like the half movement, and obviously the Mind Stealer kitty. So
the War Llama.
Yeah, and so that's the plan there, because it's already such a movement heavy army. Like,
very much so.
The amount that I move around the board is actually ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
And like, teleports and shit aside, but now I've got a Shaggoth with Hailstorm that's going to have your run, charge, and move, and then now I have a Demon Prince who's going to have your run and charge, and or your run and move, sorry, not run and your charge, but so that's added, plus the Llama making you strike last potentially. It's just and I always take the Palisade as well, just for that little bit of insurance. But when I'm summoning, I literally just summon Warhounds, and they act as a screen for whatever I need them to at the time, because they're so fast. It's like, yep, okay, well, I need to get here, so a 16-inch move, whatever. Like, it's just
There, I when I actually like getting to debates about Ossiarch Bone Reapers that I've had to get into on the internet lately. People will say, like, oh, they're really fast because they can go 7 inches, and I'm like, you have no idea what speed is. 7 inches of just move 7 and then maybe make a charge with no rerolls for that charge is trash movement. But Beasts of Chaos, if you want to, like, Beasts of Chaos are blazing fast. Like, my Depraved Drove, the one time I played that game took my Beasts of Depraved Drove, and I, used my Cygor as a proxy for a Keeper's Secrets and stuff like that. The one game I played, it was something like almost like 20 inches of guaranteed threat.
Yeah.
Like 20 inches. Because run and charge, you run 6 of them, so that's 6 inches, plus base movement, rerolling charges, plus 1 on the, I took cogs in that list because you can run and charge. I believe they got plus 1 run on the War Scroll Ungor do, Bestigors do not. They have only offensive capabilities on their War Scroll. But I think man, it was blazing fast. It's been a while since I've had to run the list, but I'm just like, you can backline deployment me, and I will be in your face. Like,
yeah, that's what I love about them, is that the movement's really high. There's so many options when it comes to, like, just your ability to dart around the board. Like, it. And just as an aside, it is so hard for me not to run this army under the Slaanesh Allegiance.
Yes.
Not because it's so good, okay? Mm-hmm. It is really good, don't get me wrong.
Obviously.
But Godseekers has a command trait called Trail Sniffer, and, like, the narrative guy in me with an army of werewolves, it is so hard to not take that fucking army like under that allegiance just because of that.
Yeah. So, like, you have these werewolves on, like, they're actually, like, out hunting, and like that's really cool. No, I ran as Godseekers as well for the Godseekers movement again. Like, my Depraved Drove, I'm like, move 7, like, is not fast. It's just simply not. If you don't run and charge, you are slow. And if you don't run and charge and have, like, 2 pile-ins, you're slow. And if you don't run and charge and amplify the run and charge, like, you're slow. That's just my brain, but maybe it's because I've been spoiled by Beasts of Chaos.
Yeah, they're like, okay, you think your move 7 is quick. All right. Well, how about this? I'm going to move 9 and then I'm going to auto run 6
Mhm,
plus 1, so another 7, and then I'm going to 2d6 charge you.
mhm. If I need to
Like,
recharge that, roll the yeah, yep,
yeah,
yep,
like it's just they're ridiculously fast, and like so many of their units have run and charge or
ooh,
run and shoot or whatever. Like
yeah,
it's just insane.
yeah, yeah. I mean that's part of the reason Daughters of Cain are so like blazing fast is they also have run and charge on the war scroll off their banner, so or instrument, one of the two. Yeah, so it's just like yeah. And then it's just kind of back to the Slaves to Darkness thing. That was one of the reasons I had a hidden agenda that I wanted Slaves to Darkness to be good, which is Beast of Chaos only ally is basically Slaves to Darkness. So I was hoping that we'd get just like one monster to really bring us to the next level, and spoiler, we did.
Yeah,
The War Llama is for 100 points, and that was the
yeah,
thing is like points were gonna make or break the good quote unquote the good monsters. 100 points. You drop a Great Bray Shaman, or heck, um, most of my lists tend to be like around 1980, 1990. It's not that difficult to just drop your Wildfire Taurus and just grab a body that does it for you.
yeah,
So
absolutely.
so now you just grab that body that projects a bubble, and I mean, if you're feeling particularly vain, you bring the War Llama and the Wildfire Taurus and say, "Let's go." But it's really easy to sub that, and I'm actually going to pick up Be'lakor. You're going with the Daemon Prince. I want to grab Be'lakor for my art, so I'm going to grab Be'lakor, and maybe by then I'll be really good at green stuff, and I can make Be'lakor look like a sweet goat man. But he's halfway there. He's got the cloven hooves.
Yeah.
Um,
If you need help, just hit me up, man. I'll walk you through it.
yeah. I wish I had not missed you before the rantcast. I am more eager. I haven't opened the box yet. It's sitting right here. Um, well, maybe I'll do that. I'll take this. I'll take rantcast down and then I'll open up afterwards. Real quick, I got a gift in the mail from Soren here. So, let's see. Yeah. So Beast of Chaos blazing fast, and you've got this werewolf theme that's pretty constant throughout. I mean, this army looks. How long did it take you to bring together your Beast of Chaos army? Out of curiosity.
Oh man. Well, firstly, you start the process of trying to find models that will fit the theme that you want to go with, right? And
Mm-hmm.
because nobody wants to sculpt an entire army, right?
Right.
That's not a thing that so people want to do. So I found Mersh Miniatures, and they were doing a Kickstarter for their Anglican line, and it took a year for that to deliver. So in the meantime, I found Bronze Age Miniatures, which does just pure pewter miniatures, and they had some actually great 28 millimeter werewolf models. So I used those in the meantime while I was waiting for that.
Mm-hmm.
And then once the Kickstarter delivered and I got the Mersh models, they were a little bit bigger, like they were beefier looking, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So what I ended up doing is just using the Bronze Age miniatures that I had and as my gore, and using the Mersh miniatures for my Bestigore, conversions for my Beast Lords, my Bray Shamans, all that kind of stuff. So
That's awesome. So now, next one I've got up here is actually a werewolf with the actual. We can see some of your green stuff sort of process here.
yeah.
What? So you've got a like? Is this a single base miniature that you've reposed, or is this a couple different things put together?
No, this is a single miniature that I cut into 3 pieces and reposed.
See, 11-year-old you was cutting miniatures into 3. It's good to see that you've stayed consistent with your with your technique.
Yeah.
So actually, like one thing that stood out to me, and when you sent me these photos initially, I'm like, oh, I've got so many questions for you once we get going. One of the ones that immediately jumped out to me is you've actually got some green snuff around his muzzle. So I'm just
Yeah.
curious what was going on here, what the before sort of process was, and what you wanted to change and why you changed it.
Okay, so the original miniature, so Mersh has 2 werewolves like this that are these like big, huge wolf monster miniatures.
Mhm.
And one of them has a really cool like body and the other one has what I would consider not that great, but it's got the snarl.
Yeah.
Whereas the one that has the great body doesn't. So what I did was I bought both and I hacked the muzzle off of the one that I liked and put it onto the body that I liked. So that's where that comes from.
Mhm.
Also, I'm like very particular about how I think a werewolf should look. So
I was gonna bring this up too, actually, but go on. Yeah.
So if something isn't right, I'm forced to change it. So like if their muzzle has to be like the right thickness. If it's wrinkled up, it's got to look a certain way. It's
No, I actually, so I love horror movies. RantCast basically started around October, as many people know, and I was mid in my horror game marathon because I'm a big horror video game fan. I tend to write sci-fi and fantasy. It is not uncommon for my sci-fi and fantasy stories to have elements of horror in them, but like, gruesome descriptions or like brutal interactions. I run a lot of D&D, and there will always be like the token, like, quote unquote haunted house adventure, or cursed entity or whatever. Like, there's always something like that in all my games. And werewolves are one of those things where, like, if I hate the look of the werewolf, I will think your werewolf movie is trash. Like, it doesn't matter how good the movie itself is. If the werewolf doesn't look good, it is garbage. So I hate it when werewolves have more of a bear snout than an actual wolf snout. Like, these are particular things, and it's a me thing. It's not, it's not like on them necessarily. But one of the ones I really liked was Dog Soldiers. I thought they nailed. I don't know if you've seen it.
Yep, I have.
Oh.
That one, and so like Dog Soldiers, and honestly, like a lot of people hate on it, but the Van Helsing werewolves.
I'm trying to remember how, honestly, the Van Helsing movie Werewolves. I'm gonna pull up an image here real quick to see if I can agree disagree. But yeah, are those your two like go to?
Those are my two like go to like this. Okay, this is what this is supposed to look like.
Yeah, that's not bad. So I like more. See, I like them when they've got that sort of like. I like the sort of like elongated like limbs.
Not the gray one, the black one. The black one's where it's at.
The black one's
William.
where it's at.
Yeah, William from Underworld is the right type as well. Like that's almost there. The ears are in the wrong spot.
The ears are in the wrong spot. See, you gotta have fur too. Like, is one of my things. I hate it when they don't have fur. Like, your werewolves gotta have fur, man.
Yep. I don't want to see skin, boy.
See, these are just Van Helsing is fucking awesome. Who shits on that? Van Helsing wasn't that bad of a flick, by the way. It was hokey, and it wasn't what you expected, and I think it came out too close to the Matrix, which is just something that happened to every action film in that time period. Is like, if you came out too close to the Matrix, it just changed how you thought of like an action movie.
Yeah.
But it was a fun movie. I thought it was like ridiculous. I think the problem is people took it seriously. They thought they were gonna get like a serious horror movie or a serious action movie, and we just got like a serious Hugh Jackman movie.
Yeah, like I don't know. I thought that the way that they intertwined those like famous movie monsters was awesome.
The intro is really strong too. Like, there's a like where he's haunting where he's hunting Mr. Hyde. That's a really solid intro.
Yeah.
I like, honestly, my only problem with it is I wanted more of the movie. Like, I just felt like it like once it got past the intro, it just like accelerated through it too quickly. It's just like I wanted more movie in there. But yeah, Frank on the Rocks nails it here in chat. He says the movie is approaching the modern classic that is The Mummy, with Brendan Fraser.
Mm-hmm.
You were gonna say something there?
I was just gonna say that like I kind of wanted to see them deep dive more into like him being the left hand of God. Like,
Yeah, like just go like just crank it up a little bit more.
yeah,
Yeah. So yeah, we got this. This is sweet here. So you basically you wanted to convert to the better muzzle with the cooler pose, and so you performed surgery.
I did. Yes,
Okay, now
extensive plastic surgery.
all right. So this one's really freaking cool here. You've got this lizard man here on this dynamic base, and it looks like you went for a little bit of a monochrome sort of paint scheme to it with the glow.
Yes. So there's I am like super obsessed with Batman, okay? Like
Batman? Okay.
yeah. And I was trying to like I don't like the like miniatures game that they released and stuff, and I was like, man, how can I bring this into AOS? And I was working on my Seraphon at the time. So this is Batrock.
You say it and like I see it, like now I can't unsee it. So like the cowl, and he's actually got the ears or the horns going straight up like on Batman's. That's fucking fantastic. Oh man, yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, so like again, this is basically like the same thing. Like I had the arms and legs from the Carnosaur kit left over because I bought like 4 of them, and yeah, and then the rest is just green stuff like that cape, everything.
So when you're green stuffing and you have this cape that's sort of billowing and flowing, usually like, okay, green stuff with scale's cool, I get it, you know. But with a cape like this, how do you get that to hold its shape as you're shaping it?
Okay, so what I ended up doing with this is actually like flattening out the green stuff, cutting out the basic shape of the cape that I wanted, making sure that it's like the right size and scale in that, and then I actually laid it on the miniature, used like wax paper so that it wouldn't stick to nothing with a little bit of Vaseline, and I actually like propped it up in certain spots from the base itself so that it would billow out like that. And then what I did was I waited an hour, and then I took all that stuff away and let it fall.
So it has a more natural.
Exactly. And then wait another hour, and because it takes 24 hours to cure, you have a long like working time kind of. So usually after about 2 hours it starts to get like harder to work with. So I waited as long as I could, checked on it, and then I just sort of pulled and accentuated on all of those folds so that it looked more dynamic. That's really all there is to it.
That's really cool. See, because capes and stuff like that can be really difficult, because I find that green stuff, if you, it wants to pull apart, because it wants to like build on top of it. Doesn't really want to. It's not like actual clay where you shape it and then boom, it's like that. No, it wants to like be built on top in these layers, like you said. So, man, that's really cool. That's just really understanding what green stuff, like its curing process and what you can do with it, and then just kind of applying it, and having patience. So.
You've got to make this stuff work for you, not work against it, right? So like, it's all with time, patience, and learning, right?
That's cool. And now we've got Toothless here. Sorry, looks like a bit of a dragon. It's got sort of reminds me of the Toothless head on it.
Yeah, this is Batrock 2.0.
Okay.
So this is me going to 11. So this is all Procreate and green stuff with literally just like the gauntleted hands from the old blood from the Carnosaur kit. That is the only non-sculpted thing on here.
So you even sculpted the feet here, or is it that?
Yeah, that's Procreate.
Wow. That's crazy. And so you do have a frame in there, it looks, because I can see the metal sticking off the end there. So you've got a sort of a frame in there, like a wire.
Yeah. That is literally just like 3mm gauge aluminum wire that you just kind of take and wrap around itself until it's the shape that you want, really, like the basic sort of outline, and then you just pack green stuff and whatever onto it until it's built up enough to where you can sculpt on top of it.
Yeah, this is just like when you do a figure drawing, you usually give yourself literally a skeleton or a stick figure, build the rough shapes on top with, you know, circles and basic shapes, and then you add the detail when you're doing like I used to do a lot of good sketches before I broke my hand, but yeah, so that's you're doing that, but in 3D with a wire frame and giving yourself that baseline to build up off of.
Exactly. Yeah.
Cool. Is this model done, by the way, or is this an in process? Batrock 2.0.
This model unfortunately got destroyed.
Oh no!
Because when you have children, that is a thing that can happen.
Yeah, everyone's heard the story of my Nagash by now. So, got yet another wolf. So this is going to be back in your Beast of Chaos. Is this what model is this standing in for?
This is another Beast Lord. This was the one I was. Yeah, this is the Trail Sniffer. You can see he's got the little pendant to Slanesh there around his neck.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. A little bit of blood stain going on.
Yep.
That's really cool. Is this another 90% green stuff type one?
No, this one is actually just 2 metal miniatures put together, and then I just like green stuffed over the seam so that it looks like one thing.
Right on.
So this is the head from a Game Zone Miniatures wolf, and the body from a Infinity Dog Soldier.
Even Tristan, we're just we're actually doing a bit more of a hobby stream today. Before we get into the real, as soon as everyone leaves, we'll get into the real subject. And this is then. This is that sort of that model in the process of being made, looks like.
Yeah, that is me going through and like I had to resculpt his back so that the alignment of everything looked correct. And obviously
So when you're sculpting this back, I see this musculature. Do you actually like carve into that, or is this building up?
This is building up, so each one of those muscles is its own separate piece of green stuff that I'll put on there, and then I'll just blend the edges into what I've already got sculpted on.
Okay, cool.
It makes it a lot easier than when you do it like that. If you do it by like trying to carve it in there, I find that green stuff will it's almost like cutting rubber when it's cured. If you go to carve it, it's literally like cutting a tire. It's got like these sharp edges that'll show up afterwards. It's just so much easier just to put your little pieces of green stuff, like start small and build your way up.
Mm-hmm. Cool. So if you had like just 3 tips for somebody who wants to start getting into like really green stuffing, like, you know, where would you suggest they start in their process, and then what are the tips in like working with it you'd give them?
The process that I would start with is just simple gap filling, like practice gap filling with the green stuff. Use like convert a miniature, make the gap huge, make you work it, right? And then other than that, tips that I would give is get yourself some silicone sculpting tools and some Vaseline, and remember that water is your friend. Water, like just dipping the end of your tool and sort of wicking it off on your thumb like you would a paintbrush, is going to stop your sculpting tool from sticking to the green stuff, because that's one of the properties that it has, is it's a very tacky material. Mm-hmm. So that's where a lot of people are like, man, I can't do this, because they'll go to sculpt it and what they're sculpting will stick to their tool and they'll pull it up when they go to pull away. A little bit of water stops that. So just remember, use water.
Use water. Right on.
Yeah.
Oh man, cool. So I think that's pretty useful. So I don't man, so when you're actually like, sculpting is very much like a hands-on part of the hobby process. And I find, for instance, I've long said that I like building models more than I like painting models, and part of that's just don't know what I'm doing with painting yet, but I'm pretty good at actual like sculpting, like whittling, cutting away, and doing that sort of thing. Do you find it like that you gravitated towards green stuff because it is so hands on and it is?
I'm a very like hands-on type of person. So yeah, there's that, and there's other aspects of it too. Like I find it very cathartic. It's like painting for me, right? Like it's also it's you're creating something. It's something like these miniatures that you just showed everyone are miniatures that no one else has or will ever have.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. Right. That's really cool. I'm gonna go back to this guy. I think this was my favorite one here. The Doom Wolf.
Oh yeah.
I think this is my favorite. They're all really great, but I like this guy, and I like the first one with the ironic that I picked up on the Dark Souls Bloodborne vibe.
Yeah, man, that was awesome. It was like proof of concept achieved. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing is like you have to have people with that like Venn diagram overlap of play Dark Souls and or Bloodborne and also minis. So like a lot of these mini lines you talk about, like I'm so the actual minis aspect. A lesson Soren learned early on is like he'd ask me like, well, what do you think's gonna be to start collecting boxes? I don't. They're gonna put models in it. I'm really much like I love the game and I love the models and the sculpts, but I just like I don't. There's like I play Age of Sigmar. I don't play 40K. I don't. This Marvel game has me really tempted, but I'm like I don't have time for a second model game in my life. And even with Warcry, I know that like anytime I would have time to play Warcry, I would just rather play Age of Sigmar. So like I'm very much like focused in on Age of Sigmar and stuff. But there's this whole other world of minis and models out there that if you just I think as you get into the actual crafting and painting that like and you just want models to consume, there's this whole other world out there.
Right. Frank has asked a question in the chat here. I just want to quickly touch on.
Yeah.
Why green stuff specifically over, say, Milliput or Epoxy Sculpt or Procreate? So all of those different epoxies have different properties that are going to do better things for you depending on what you're trying to do. So you'll learn that over time as you get to using them. But so, for instance, let's say Milliput. It's cheap.
Yeah. Hang on, we dropped the call there. Turn your camera back on.
Okay.
The joys of doing it live, folks.
Right on. Okay.
All right. So you were talking about like the Milliput versus Procreate.
Yeah.
They all have different properties, and you said something about you leaving off on a point about one of them being cheap.
Yeah. So Milliput is like your cheapest option. I like to use it for bases because you're going to mass produce a ton of bases for your army, right? Typically that's what you're going to have the most of. So that's what I'll typically use Milliput for if I'm doing like big projects that don't require a ton of detail. Epoxy sculpt is kind of the same thing. I akin it to this magic sculpt stuff. It's a little bit more expensive than Milliput, but it kind of serves the same purpose. Procreate, that stuff I use on the regular, and I'll use that for stuff that has hard edges. So like armor plates, that kind of stuff. It holds a harder edge than green stuff does. So if you're sculpting weapons or armor or that kind of thing, that's what I'll use Procreate for. It's also really good for building up your armature before you sculpt over top with green stuff, just because it cures like rock hard, like really, really hard. And then green stuff is just great for detail work. Like it's just amazing at holding detail, and that's why I use it more than the other one.
Man, awesome. Really thorough. Like I just feel like I'm absorbing, and I'm gonna go back and watch my own episode of RantCast one day to like get better at green stuffing. Yeah, so like I was yeah, so like one of the things I was talking about was how I find like the actual like building to be like rather therapeutic, and we had this subject that we were kind of mutually thinking about, and I know I had Alex Milonis on a little bit ago, and we talked about the sort of psychology of Sigmar, and we talked some lighthearted banter on the gods and what mapping them to basic human emotions, and then we talked a little bit more in depth about mental strategies and stuff like that. But you were actually kind of talking about like Age of Sigmar or gaming as sort of therapy. And did you want to like elaborate a little bit on that, or do you want me to take a stab at what I think you mean?
Um. So okay, we'll I'll answer your question and then we can move on from there. So it's an escape. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
it's something that you can go and do, whether it's painting, sculpting, playing the game, where you can just shut the outside world out. You don't have to. There's no, oh man, what do I got to do at work this morning? None of it. It's all gone. There is you. There is the miniature. There is your opponent. There's the table. That is it. Your world is a tiny little box, and anything outside of that box you don't have to worry about.
Hmm.
It's like closing a door on all the bad shit. For me, anyways. I'm not.
No, I don't think you're wrong at all. I mean, I'm pretty open about my some of my stuff and some of my past, because that's just it's the way that's even recent for me, by the way. That's within the last year I decided to like take this like mental health visibility approach to my life, because I found that like first off, partitioning off the fact that I love basketball from the fact that I love Age of Sigmar, from the fact that I play tons of video games, like, and write and all that, was weighing on me, because I felt like I had to constantly like hide this part of me from that group of people and this part of me from that group of people, and like it was taxing to always do that. And then I'm like, you know what, if people are gonna like me, they're gonna like all of me, or not.
Yeah.
Or if they like me enough, they don't need to like all the stuff I like. They could just scroll past me talking about video games and like wait for me to post my next Mortek guard. Like, and that was just like something that I thought of. And then as part of like the evolution of that, I'm like, well, then why am I hiding what I'm feeling too? And so that was just a conscious decision I made. And a lot of it was actually one of the D&D streamers I follow, Scraticus Academy, did it. And I'm like, and when he did it and he's like, okay, I'm not streaming today, I need a mental health day, I went, huh. Like it just something clicked, and I'm like, okay, so like I need to, if I'm open about this stuff, it's, if I had a broken arm, you'd see my broken arm and go, oh, dude needs help opening the door. Like if I say I'm not feeling it today, I'm unplugging from the internet, or whatever it is, like people go, oh, okay, cool, respect, right? Like,
Yep.
And some people get annoyed by it. My fear was that like people would think like I was looking for pity, like, because that we have that perception where like, oh no, he's looking for pity. Like it's not for you if that's what you think. Then just keep scrolling. It's fine. It's your feed. Mute me for all I care. But like the people out there who feel some of what you feel or whatever, they are the ones that are going to see it and go, and they're the ones that need it, And so that's just kind of like part of my process this last year, and I say that to say that I got into gaming almost exclusively because it was an escapist vice. Like,
Absolutely.
purely to escape my home life. I went to the comic book store. It was a comic book store that branched out into all the other stuff, which is why if you look at all of my interests, they all start at that one comic book store, because it was, he had Warhammer, he had Rifts, Palladium Books Rifts RPG, which is like still my favorite, D&D obviously, video games, Magic the Gathering, all of it. That like every interest I have basically started in that one store, because I didn't have a very good home life, and so I would like, I think a lot of people, rather, we live in the timeline where Andrew turned out pretty okay. There is an alternate timeline where I didn't find a gaming store. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. I know exactly what you're saying. Your story is almost to a T exactly like mine.
Yeah.
I had the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Exact. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and you don't need to go into, again, that was my choice to do the visibility thing. I hope
Oh,
it helps people.
That's I want to bear it all, bud. Ask your questions, man. Like I feel it's really important that if you're going to be in the public eye, like we are, like I have my own YouTube channel and stuff too. I feel it's very important as being members of the community that we put forward, like, hey, I've been through this shit, and if you're going through this shit too, that's okay. And if you need someone to talk to, I'm fucking here, man.
Right
Like
on.
you are not alone. So yeah, so like if we're about to get into the rant heavy shit right now. So if you guys are ready for this, I'll tell you my story, man. Fucking
Right.
from start to where we are now.
All right. Yeah. So, like, now that we've gotten you all to stop listening after 1 hour talking about green stuff, we're going to go into the sort of mental health aspect of the show. It's going to get heavy, so be forewarned. There's plenty of great content out there if you go listen, but if you want to come on this journey with us, I encourage you to stay along. Soren here mentioned he uses his painting to, like, stay sane and keep his kid and allow his kids to remain healthy. And you're not wrong about Glitter Boy armor. It was for me though. It was actually there's a book called New West. Inside the New West, there's a gunslinger. He looks, I shit you not, like Clint Eastwood in power armor. And like that was the image that did it for me for Riffs. It was fucking. I actually hang on one brief moment. Let me grab my my autographed copy of Riffs New West, and I will show it to the camera for everybody to see.
This is amazing.
Quick, distract them, Marrok. Or sorry, Marrok.
Okay. I knew it would happen. Yeah, so I honestly can't wait to see this book. I'm excited. He's got me pretty pumped for this. You're way to get the hype up there, buddy, and then make us wait. Like, what the hell is that?
Oh. And it was right next to me the entire time. I
That's usually how it works.
Yeah, it's sitting right next to me. Yeah, so there's in the Rifts New West, one of the first characters I ever made was a so I'd actually already played the TMNT tabletop game made by the same company, Palladium Books. They had the license for it. Again, huge comic book nerd, so it's obvious that if I liked Eastman and Laird's TMNT and the cartoon, that when I see the TMNT RPG when I'm escaping my abusive home, I'm gonna want to fucking play that game. So I actually had a mutant ferret was my because I also loved the fucking Beastmaster, and Thundercats and shit.
Oh my god, this is so good.
And so like I made a mutant ferret because Kodo and Podo were the shit, and Thundercats, but like. Like, so I don't know. It's just this whole weird soup thing happened. But yeah, that was one of my first tabletop characters ever. It was actually I had my very first character was a elf the class, because in AD&D or second ed, elf was the class. So I had an elf in D&D, and then shortly after that I had my ferret because TMNT. I jumped into it. So yeah, Pro Gambler also looks sick. Those are the Adventurer OCCs. Those are lame. Adventurer OCCs are to suck. Here we go. All right, everybody. So this is Raymond Perez. He is by far my favorite artist and I'll actually go full cam for it. Looks exactly like freaking Clint Eastwood. He's got like the power armor and like the fucking cyborg hand. This was the image that did it. Standing in the rain, indignant. It's just, it's so cool. Like,
yeah,
that's
something else.
Like, I saw that and I'm like, I will forever play this RPG. So Rifts is just like, it's just unlike anything else. It's just the setting is so fucking over the top. Yeah. So yeah, that was Rifts. But that was the hobby store escape. Like I went to Jimmy Jams was the main one when I was younger, and then as I got older, I just found whatever one was in the town I would get moved to, because I got bounced around a bunch. And as I was kind of saying when we were off air, and I just mentioned my thing, and then I'll kind of like pass the rock to you. You guys know my story. My mom, bipolar, abusive, manic depressive. She tended to date a boyfriend of the month, and he was universally, they were pieces of shit. I had a stepdad who was pretty cool to a point until he wasn't. And then he hospitalized me. My mom left him, and then some other crazy stuff happened, and I ended up with my grandma. And then from my grandma, it was just a different aunt or uncle along the way. I went to 6 different high schools, and I had 2 foster homes somewhere in there. So a lot of bouncing around. And what I did is I ended up, I always wrote, I always drew, and then I discovered, so I was always creative growing up, and then I discovered tabletop RPGs, and kind of where I was allowed to be somebody else, which was like the thing I wanted to be the most in the world. My favorite superhero was Wolverine because he could heal, and if I could heal like Wolverine could heal, then DSS, or the Department of Social Services, wouldn't be threatening to separate me from my siblings and all that stuff. So it all fits together, how this abuse that I felt growing up helped me discover the things that I love to this day and have really defined me and who I am, in a way that like the abuse could have defined me, but I found these other things that I was passionate about and that were healthy. And that's a really big part of it, is because you can latch onto something that's less healthy than just rolling dice, like so that's kind of my, if you haven't heard it before, I think many people have, but that's sort of the abridged version of my nerd life. So Marrok, you said you were so you were going to tell me how you got to here. Let's hear it, man.
Yeah. Okay, so started when I was 10, and what ended up happening was we had like a pretty big family tragedy where my dad's brother actually committed suicide.
Oof.
My dad and his brother were best friends. I was actually named after his brother, and he felt like he was in a place where he couldn't get out, and that was it. After that happened, my dad like went off the deep end hard, and he became an alcoholic. My uncle's kids actually, like, my dad took them in to come and live with us, and that was like ridiculous too, because they were like in their teens, and I was the oldest at 10, so we were kind of like, the focus had to be on them, you know what I mean? But we were in that like development stage where we really needed like our parents, and they just weren't there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, actually, 10 is when I got removed from my mom, actually. So there's a, like, right at that period where you're, I think, vulnerable, but you know who you are. Does that make sense? Like, you're...
Absolutely. Yep, absolutely.
You're the most vulnerable you could possibly be, but you know who you are. Like, you're beginning to, you're about to be a teenager and all the hormones are about to hit, but you actually... cognitive memory and all those things start to really latch on when you're about 10 years old. Up until then, you're just like pure ego running around like crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, continue.
So after like that went on for a long time, and what ended up happening was my mom couldn't deal with my dad's drinking, and so she started drinking to deal with his shit. And yeah, so I grew up in a house with 2 alcoholic parents, and when my dad would get really, really like off his rocker, I would literally come home from school and sit down at the kitchen table, and he would talk to me like he was talking to his brother.
Mm.
And he was mad at his brother for what he did. Like,
Yeah.
it's super hard, like, thinking about it now, but like, to sit down across the kitchen table from your son and just fucking yell at him and call him an asshole and all this other shit because you're so fucked up that you think you're talking to your brother who committed suicide.
Well, and I mean, you're
Yeah.
named after him and everything, so you were
Yeah.
like, you were primed to be a surrogate for all of his
Oh,
rage.
oh yeah. Like, and like, all of that shit led to like a slew of other things. Like, I didn't learn to drive until I was 20 because I had no one to teach me. Like, all of this shit. Like, it just spiraled into fucking everything. Like, I almost got kicked out of school because I was getting into fights all the time because I was so fucking mad that my dad was like, I was dealing with all this shit at home. I had two like extremely close friends, and I couldn't have them over to my house to hang out and play D&D like we would always do. Like, they couldn't come over because it was fucking embarrassing. Like, you'd come up out of the basement and you'd go upstairs to grab a drink or something out of the fridge, and your dad's fucking passed out at the kitchen table.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, how the fuck do you explain that? You can't. It's just what happens, right? And like, things are different now, but like, looking back at that, like, no one should ever fucking put their kids through that shit, man. Like, no one should ever have to fucking, like, because of that, I don't drink now. Like, I don't touch it at all because I've seen what it can do.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, so it started with all of that shit, and then like, I would constantly go over to my best friend's house, and he was like, "Hey, man, like, I'm gonna try and put a D&D game together. Like, did you want to try this or whatever?" It's like, you mean I don't have to be me for fucking 8 hours? Yeah, absolutely, I want to fucking do that. So it started with that, and then we weren't really like good at it at the time, so we had like a board and we had like dice that we would use as our guys, and eventually it went to miniatures. And at that point, when I walked into that game store and saw that Krokgar model on the fucking shelf a year after all this shit had started, it was like, holy fuck, that's amazing. And I bought it and some paint, and I fucking went home and I hacked that model to pieces and put it back together.
Well,
yeah, go ahead.
Well, there's almost like a metaphor there where like you bought this model and you hacked it to bits and you put it back together. It's almost like you're kind of perhaps in a sort of metaphoric sense rebuilding yourself in that moment, you know?
Oh man, like, that is probably hitting the nail on the head. Like, all of my conversion work now and back then and in the in between, I think it is stemmed from a total need to have control over what I'm doing, and because I just didn't have that, right? Like, everything was fucking chaos. Like, like, I was getting up in the morning and at fucking 11 and making breakfast for my sisters and taking them to school. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, what the fuck is going on?
Well, it's almost like, I mean, I grew up without parents for different reasons, but it's still almost like you grew up without parents too, for like your own set of reasons. And Soren here in chat, he's like, by the way, I have 5 kids and I have been a responsible parent. My kids are well adjusted, and I'm under a lot of stress because they're he recites their ages. And let's see, here's the thing: is like, you can be like, you know, think in our cases, Marrok, we have sort of like an extreme case, but stress hits everybody very similarly. It almost doesn't even matter what the stressors are. Like, you don't need to have a story, like a backstory, like as extreme as mine, and I'm sure that there's even more extreme than mine. Like, to feel negative. Like, one of the things, I have a friend, and I'm not gonna mention who they are because it's not my story to share, but like their great strife is that they grew up around a bunch of friends with these horrible family lives, and they actually had a great life, and that made them feel terrible to like sort of go into this a spiral that like mirrors some of the worst stories I've heard, where it's just like, like we're all humans, and we all have like this range of emotions, and it's just stimulus. It's it's just we get a certain stimulus and then a certain response. It happens, like, and I'm not a medical professional. I can't give you any great advice, but I'm a pretty decent listener, and I love writing stories, so I kind of see things in like I guess a fantastical light, like my brain jumps to the metaphor or the connection in a narrative of a story, because that's just how I need to see the world to make it make sense to me, is I need to see it like a story, like Ray wasn't my stepdad, he was a villain, like he wasn't, like that's just how I process stuff. But I guess so you made it kind of out of that situation. You seem well adjusted now, and you make some pretty fantastic art.
Thanks, man.
Like, was there like a sort of a turning point for you where like you were in this toxic situation, and then I know what mine was, if you need to think about it for a moment.
It was literally my high school graduation. I graduated, and I walked up on that stage to get my diploma, and I saw my parents stand up, and they were clapping and that, and they were fucking both staggering, like they could barely fucking stand. Mm-hmm. And it was like, fuck, guys, like this is like the one moment in my life, and you guys have fucking embarrassed me even now. And that was it. I worked for a year. I fucking packed my shit and I moved. That was it.
Yeah.
And then I came back, because like when you just pick up and move on a whim, nothing good comes of that. Usually. So I ended up coming back, and when I came back, it was fuck, I never should have left, because what had happened to me was now happening to my sisters, and I felt so bad, because I realized at that moment that I was the shield protecting them from all of that shit. And when I got back and saw that it was happening to them, that was it. I put my foot down. I sat them both down as an adult, as a fucking man. I moved away from home. I got a fucking job. I lived rough. I came back. Everything was fucked. And now you guys are fucking doing this to my sisters? Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Mm-hmm. So, like, I literally sat across the table from my dad, and for the first moment in my life, I was like, look, asshole, this isn't gonna fucking work anymore.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned... Oh, go on.
Yeah, that was the moment where I think it finally clicked for him, where it was like... It was almost like he didn't realize he was doing it. You know what I mean? Like...
Again, I'm no medical professional, but it's almost like, in a way, how you had become the surrogate for all of his anger. You might have also kind of then become that almost like, a man and his kid, but then also you might have like kind of like absorbed the power from your uncle and become that sort of voice, that guiding voice he also needed when his brother was removed away. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Is this where Marrok was born, do you think? Like, in that moment, was he this righteous anger that...
Oh, fuck. Okay, so that name comes from... So I used to have these very vivid dreams, right? Like, mm-hmm. when... during this time, and like, I was a fucking angry kid, like, I know, unbelievably. Well. Like, I literally had an altercation in high school where the police were phoned and they had to pull me off of a guy. And it got to the point where I was having these ridiculous dreams where it was just a dark room with a spotlight, and there was this cage. And this cage is fucking rattling, and all you can see is red eyes. And I would have this dream over and over and over again, and it was like that monster in the cage just wanted to fucking come out. And like I honest to Christ don't know what the fuck psychologically that means about me. It whatever it is, what it is. But like when I met my wife and told her about this, she named it.
That's funny.
And that was the name that she gave it. And the name is actually the name of a knight of the Round Table from Arthurian times that was infected with lycanthropy.
That's fucking badass.
Yeah.
No, man. See, like
fuck, I'm fucking shaking just thinking about this shit.
I'm sorry, dude. No,
No, this is good. This is part of the healing process,
That's
right?
right. That's right. No, I still have night terrors. I'm still an insomniac to this day. Vivid dreams. They've never left me. And one of the studies I've read. So when you have insomnia, you do the dumbest thing in the world. You stay up really late at night reading about insomnia.
Yeah.
One of the studies basically is essentially like child abuse, whether it's physical, mental, or whatever, neglect. It's very similar in what it does to you to like PTSD symptoms in like veterans and stuff. So it's a very similar sort of like PTSD. And so like man, okay, here's a fun anecdote. The first time I slept over at Molly's house, whom is the love of my life. We've been together now into our 10th year. We have 2 beautiful kids together. She's literally my everything. It goes Molly first and then Warhammer. But like the first night I slept over at her place, we've been dating for a little while. I talked about my night terrors then, but I do that thing that at the time I did that thing that you do when you're kind of embarrassed about it, which is you make it into a joke so that you're not, you're trying to like take some of that power away from it. Mm-hmm. And so like I would joke about my night terrors and I tell her stories like in like a room with like, my roommates and her and like a couple of our mutual friends and stuff. I'd tell these stories about like a night terror I had last night. Ha ha ha. So she knew I had them. The very first night I slept over at her house, I tend to dream a lot about darkness, a lot about like ink, like these sort of like this inky tar that takes on these visages of things or people, a lot of like monstrous or demonic imagery, lots of tentacles, rats, and one in particular I call the dog-faced demon, which it has this like, it looks like more of like a bulldog-like face that's very demonic, sort of a hyper-ridged brow, very jowly but super sinuous, like no skin, just like really made out of like ink and tar and muscle and stuff. Unbelievable! Thank you so much for the follow there. So a lot of these like really heinous imagery. So that particular night, I had a dream that like the blankets had become rats. And naturally my pillow is king rat. So I roll over in bed and I start just wailing on the pillow. And she's just sleeping right next to me. And she wakes up and she just goes, "Night terror?" And like I'm mid-blah and I'm not fully awake. And then like I come to gradually and she's just like, "Night terror?" And I'm like, "Yep." And she just like rolls back over, goes to bed. And I'm just like, I'm gonna marry this woman someday.
Like, yeah, absolutely.
She saw me at my worst,
Fuck, man,
like,
we are so like alike. Like this is fucked up. Like I had a very similar thing happen with my wife, and we've been married for 10 years. And like, Jesus Christ, like this is fucking retarded.
Well, that's the thing is like Molly, she's like, she's seen me at my worst, and we've been through the worst together, and it's just like I previous like relationships and stuff like that. It's like you gotta find somebody who like resonates with your type of crazy. I think
Absolutely, yeah.
like we're, we had nights where like, so we lived in Milwaukee, and I do drink and stuff like that yet. I'm changing my perspective on it as of late, but I still drink. I enjoy having a beer after work, and they tell me I'm not an alcoholic. I'm just from Wisconsin, so
like I don't have a problem with like drinking in general. It's just not something and
that's the thing is like I don't judge others. I never will. We've all got our vices and plights, and I told a story last night just on the random stream that I picked my vice because I saw my mom's habits, and I'm like, I can't fight it all. Like something's gonna catch me, and I'm like, oh, if I stick with drinking, and then like I got better. Like I didn't need to drink. I never needed to drink the way that my mom needed her things, and I didn't have to do other drugs when I was at parties with people, because as long as I held a beer, when someone offered me something, I go, no, I'm good, and I just hold up my beer, or I'd say, I can't drink and smoke at the same time, or I can't drink and do that shit at the same time, and everyone got it. But if I was standing there just with a fucking soda, they'd have kept coming at me. So it became a little bit of a shield in a sense too. But yeah, like we had nights when we were growing up growing up. No, yeah, like we were so young. No, when we were in Milwaukee living together, where like if she was in a certain type of mood and I was in that same type of mood, we couldn't drink that night. Or one of us could drink, but the other one couldn't. So like one of us becomes a designated driver, and like one of us got to stay sober to like stop the other one from getting into a fight. I'm like, that's my woman.
Yeah. It's like that perfect mix. Like it's just
it's the right type of crazy. Like you both have her crazy. Her crazy balances my crazy. And there are people out there, and I had one of those girlfriends then whose crazy made my crazy worse. And that's not the relationship you want to be in. Like when you're in that situation, you got to have someone that balances your crazy.
It's like almost getting into a bar fight and having that one friend who won't let it go and just keeps egging it on.
Oh yeah. You don't want that relationship. That's the bad relationship.
Yeah.
No, I got out of a relationship with someone because I saw that happening. Like, I wasn't ready to confront all the bad stuff that had happened to me, and that person was very pushy about it. Like, you're just like this because of this, and you could just fight it and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to think about it. I just want to ignore it. Because, what had I done? It would bring it back to gaming. I played games to get away from it all. I played D&D. Why do I love villains? Why do I love Nagash? Why do I love villains in games? Why do I think great villains make a great story? Because I took all this bad crap and I made these villains for me to fight.
Yep.
To insert these villains into my stories and fight. That's, as a DM, I would make just this horrible monster, and then my party would destroy that, and they're destroying that proxy of my everything I feel bad about.
That's absolutely. You're taking all of that, the bullshit, all of it, and you're pouring it into that one thing, and it becomes an abstract for what is actually fucking hurting you.
Yeah, and so like, and then I was again, young 20-something. This one particular relationship I was in, I was not ready to like deal with all of that crap. I just, I had just gotten out of college. I wasn't necessarily happy about the trajectory of my life. My dad had come back into my life to mention that I have two younger brothers now out of nowhere. And I'm like, okay, I don't know who they are. And like, I don't know you. And then like, I was just dealing with this, I got this anger in me that just like, you got to try to be a good dad again to them, but when I was young, you just fucking pieced out and like left me behind. At the time, I wasn't ready to. I didn't think in terms of like, that's on him.
Yeah.
At the time, I was very much, well, what's wrong with me?
Yeah, absolutely. That is the first thing we go to all the time. Why
Yeah,
why am I different?
Yeah, he stuck around for these kids, but he wouldn't stick around. I wasn't ready for that, and then I was in this relationship where, like, well, you should call him. I'm like, I don't want to call him. I don't want to talk to him. You know, I'm
Yep.
just gonna feel bad. Like, and Molly will. She'll also push me, but she again, it's not that like enhancing my crazy. It's the compensating for my crazy. Like if I'm being neurotic, she catches me and she can correct me, or if I'm not being driven enough and I'm like I'm gonna go play a video game because I feel like shit today and I don't want to deal with anybody. She goes, well, you know what's wrong, and like she says, this is her words now, not mine. She says, I can tell by your mood if it's a leave you alone and let you play a video game or get you to take out the trash. like it's like type mood. It's so like, you know, like, but that's just, yeah, I mean that's just, you know, and I didn't like, how do I put this, it wasn't because she fixed my crazy by any means. At the time I met her, I was finally dealing with my crap and comfortable with who I was. You know, making fun of my night terrors, but I was at least talking about him. One of my friends, Sam, I talk about him from time to time. He's my Sylvaneth player friend. He I've known him since the 6th grade. He didn't know I was an insomniac and had night terrors until we were 20 something. I told him story, like he had this dog named Merlin, a huge sheep hound. And I had a night terror one night sleeping over at his house where the sheep hound was floating above my bed with its eyes glowing red, telling me to join him like the Son of Sam Killer or whatever. Like, you know, and I joked about it the next morning. But like that was like the testing the waters. Can I tell him I have like really bad weird dreams or not? And then like it just became a meme and we joked about how his dog is an alien intelligence from Rifts, and it's got, you know, it's here like magic's not the Earth isn't magical right now, so like it's forced to take on a mere mortal form, and
Man, I'm so glad that like you can twist it like that. You know what I mean? Like that is a good skill to have. You know, like just in a way to cope with stuff is, yeah, you can make light, but it's a real way of like getting other people to talk to you about stuff without having it be so fucking heavy. You know what I mean?
Well,
like,
yeah, I mean, I just lucked into that stuff. It's just the way my brain worked, you know. Like I didn't make any conscious effort. I've just always been a storyteller, you know. Before I can remember being abused the first time, and there are stories of like, oh, your mom used to like just leave you in a crib and then leave when you're yada yada. There are stories like that, whatever. But like my first conscious memory isn't of any of that. It's actually being in the 2nd grade and drawing my first comic book and illustrating and writing it. That was the first thing I ever wanted to be, was a writer and a storyteller. And as I got older, that always stuck with me. And so I've just always characterized the world with stories. And you know, like models, when I looked at this model here, I see it the way it's like lurking. It almost seems to have like sort of this mocking look, like you're like I can see this story unfolding because that's just how I see it. And we all have our ways of coping. I wasn't ignoring you before, Soren. I was waiting to kind of work it in. Like you talk about how if you have this daily stress that adds up, and if you don't get your time to unwind with your hobby, you would go mad. Tristan says same. Like, I think it's very, very important. We're talking about gaming as therapy, and I keep talking about myself, but like it's very important that you find, I just call them quiet moments. I don't, like, you find these moments to like reset yourself, because life is fucking hard for everybody, everywhere. It doesn't matter.
You need that time to recharge your batteries, man. Like you've got to separate yourself from the world for a little bit.
Yeah. And I think what makes Age of Sigmar and and modeling and hobbying so great is like when I write a story, I make a thing that just it sticks around now.
Yeah.
When I paint a model, when you sculpt a sick ass werewolf, you have created a thing. Whatever you're feeling in that time, like you get to like put this thing in a moment and just like, and here it is. You create something, which I talk about. Like I fucking love video games, but like don't play so many of them anymore because whilst I love the experience of a great story that is told to me, once that I'm done consuming that story, the video game, reading a book, watching a movie, I don't have anything sitting there in front of me. That's why, like, you know, I compare a box of what Mortec Guard is $60 for 20 Mortec Guard. It's crazy.
That is pretty nuts. Yeah.
Like $60. A video game retails at $60. A video game I can probably get if it's. I don't like multiplayer video games too much because what have I been talking about is escaping. I go into my world and I want this moment, so I play a lot more single player games. I can get about 20 hours out of a proper like video game. About 20. You know, The Last of Us I've replayed. That game is an exception though. Not every game is The Last of Us. You know, like or Uncharted 2. Not every game is Uncharted 2. You get a lot more, you know, you play it one sitting and you're done. Or a couple sittings and then it's over. And the really good ones will resonate and they stay with you, and the art we consume goes into us, and that changes us. Like, you know, whatever you take in is kind of what you put out, right? Like, if you play a ton of Bloodborne, and then you start sculpting some minis, you're probably going to start sculpting some minis to look like some Bloodborne stuff. Like, you know, if you watch way too much Dr. House like I did one month, the TV show, you're just gonna like double your sarcasm for a month. Like whatever you consume, you're gonna put out there. And I think that's the part of this hobby that's quintessential to therapy, to like the mental health for me, is that you make a thing. You're not just taking something in, you know, and having it change your perception and all the great ways that art does that stuff. Yeah. But when you make art, you put something out. So if you go on.
It's that focus, right? Your focus is taken off of whatever's going on around you, and it's funneled right into this one thing in front of you. And when you're done that one thing that's in front of you, you can set it to the side. And I think that motion of setting it to the side is the end-all be-all to getting rid of like why it's such a stress reliever, because you're like, it's like you're physically taking all that shit that went on today and you're just setting it to the side, and it's done, right? Like, yeah, absolutely. I think the other aspect of it is like I said, I keep bringing up video games, so I'll stick with the video games for the purpose of this metaphor here. Like video games I play to escape. I play the game and then I'm gone. Even Dungeons and Dragons, I talk about, and I use Dungeons and Dragons as a catch-all for tabletop RPGs because I play a shit ton of tabletop RPGs. It doesn't matter who makes it. When I actually like take on a persona when I'm GMing. Like I take on my like kind of villainous evil persona. The Mephisto is a persona. Like spoiler everybody, it's just turning certain aspects of my personality up to 11 and like dialing the knobs around. I take on my persona when I GM, and like, so I'm not like, it's like I'm like kind of partitioning off portions of me when I do that, and what I'm doing is I'm sort of like I'm need to manage the game and be a professional and so on and so forth, and I have built some of my longest lasting relationships from D&D, but they're very personal relationships. They're very specific. They're very, you know, like my best friends all play D&D with me and stuff like that. But like that doesn't feel like a community. And with video games, like what are the games I love the most in the world?
I mean, mentioned The Last of Us. I haven't joined The Last of Us message boards and made best friends with someone who plays The Last of Us, and like, you know, like it becomes a talking point for people. Like I love Bloodborne more than the Dark Souls game, so I'm just not allowed to be in the From Software community because they objectively believe that's the worst game.
No, you get out of here.
So yeah, they're just like, you like Bloodborne better than Dark Souls 2? Disgusting. And they just like spit on me. Like
the pace of that game was just so much better.
Bloodborne?
Yes.
The pace, the level design is the best. It's insane. It's insanely good. Like the high point of Dark Souls 2 is is the one labyrinthine city.
Yeah. And that's the entire game of Bloodborne.
All of Bloodborne is that city. And then you just go through different fucking biomes of that city. It's freaking great. And around the time you realize you experience the story different, if you go through like 3 or 4 different paths that you don't know you can go differently on your first playthrough, you go like, I just experienced an entirely different game because I went left instead of right. Whoa. Yeah. Like, mind blown. Like, the game is fucking... come at me, Dark Soul bros. Like, I will fight you. Bloodborne's better. But now we've established I can't be part of the From Software community. One of the things I found with Age of Sigmar is where, like, where I disconnect when I do my escapist stuff. D&D is kind of a... Tabletop RPGs is like a little niche separate thing because it's usually a one-on-one connection, like with my players and stuff like that, but I know what it feels like to be part of a community, and like I paint a model and then I post it up on Twitter and like people talk to me and and then you feel like you're part of a community, and then you go to like, it's the escapist vice where in the singular, in the moment, I make the thing, right?
Yep.
I get my therapy in the moment. I make a model, I paint a model, I put together a catapult, and now I just like feel better about my day because I've gotten me time. I made something, so I feel a lot better than when I just take in Dr. House and then I become twice as sarcastic. Like, and then I post the photo, and then I talk to like this community, and I make friends, and that's something that is just, I found is exceedingly unique with this hobby, with miniatures, that I didn't find in these other things that I very much love, but it just, and that may not necessarily mean that those communities don't exist. I'm sure there are people that like the classical Trekkie, right? I guess they're technically supposed to be called Trekkers, which is one of my uncles. He was very much the like had the Klingon party, that type of, like, he's what I call the old guard of nerd. He's the old guard of nerd. Like, he very, like, mail ordering Star Trek magazines that are printed on a college campus, like, that level of nerd, you know, before the internet. He very much found his community that way, right? And I don't know if it's just my age, you know, because I gotten older and now I care more about people as opposed to just me. I'm not as selfish as I used to be, you know, like, I don't, maybe I've got some bias in it, but again, I've been around nerd stuff my whole life, and it wasn't until Age of Sigmar and going to that first tournament and starting to talk to people on Twitter, and that I started to form connections with friends and want to like be like, oh, what tournament can you make it to here, and you know, and starting to like schedule these quote unquote grudge matches, which are just play dates to go hang out with somebody you talk to a lot on the internet, but you don't see in person ever. Like,
it's an amazing thing. Like, it's so different from how I remember it, like, before, like during the end times and all that stuff. Like, it was never like that. Like, you had forums and stuff, but they were toxic as all fuck. And now you come in and it's like, if someone's being an asshole, there's other people telling them to shut the fuck up. You know what I mean? Like, it's totally different.
Yeah. This I mentioned a little bit ago on one of my like I had Ty on from Playing and Slaying podcast. I had him on. He's a homer like me from Wisconsin, and you know why you should go to tournaments. A lot of people are afraid to go to tournaments because they're just worried that that guy from the local game store is just going to be everybody at the tournament. It's like, no. We've got answers to that guy. Their name is like Brendan. Like he shows up and just beats the crap out of them, and then like they're not that guys anymore, or they don't come back to the tournament. Like we have like our own little like I don't want to call them gatekeepers, but like quality control like officers.
Absolutely, yeah. We've got those people in the community that are like, hey, no, what you're doing right now is not okay, and if you do it again, I will find you and I will kill you.
Yeah, it's just like a bunch of Liam Neesons.
Yeah.
Like see, and then so I say it's like it's important to distinguish between a gatekeeper and what we're talking about here is like gatekeepers say you can't play the game, you can't enjoy the game. They say who can and cannot play the game, that sort of thing. It's more like you have a bunch of like big brothers and big sisters that will like stop the bullies.
Yeah, it's like there's a certain code of conduct that has to be followed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's, and if it's not, you're gonna hear about it. And the fact that we have that in a community that is so large and broad and just spread over so many different continents is fucking amazing. Like it's absolutely crazy. Like who would have thought like a couple years ago that we would be talking to people from Australia and like I never would have thought in a million years that one of the people in the YouTube community, Doom and Darkness, would be messaging me saying, hey man, I need some help. I got to put some capes on some ogres. Do you think you could help me out?
Yeah.
To which my answer was, of course.
Yeah.
like why wouldn't you? And that's the thing about the community too, is that no matter what seems to be going on with everybody, if something happens to someone that's in our community, it's like everybody fucking drops everything.
There's just a next tier of camaraderie that's indescribable within this community, and part of it is like one of the things is like you want to maintain that yourself because there's these other great paragons of the community that live up to that standard, and that's really influenced me heavily in how I approach RantCast and what I want to talk about and stuff like this. I just want to maintain this standard of community. Really, it's about, you know, I just think there are very technically speaking better games out there, right? Like very, you know, perhaps in terms of like what a game is. Maybe.
Absolutely, but is there a better community?
No.
I don't think so.
No, there's not. Like, and that's the thing is like, so maybe, and then so now the transitive property of communityness, the game is then better than any other game out there because the community you play it with is much better. And
absolutely.
So like, you know, some people might, oh, the rules in Magic the Gathering are better, and you're like, yeah, but their players are shitlords, so I don't want to play with them.
At me, bro.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'll play you in a game of EDH and figure out what type of, like, what level of ages, or what level of, like, Magic the Gathering player you are, and I have a deck for each social situation, but, like, that's the extent of it these days. I just want to catch up on chat here real quick.
Yep.
So Soren here, it says he's different at home than he is at his office, so he does some auditing, basically. He has to segment his time and segment his life, but unfortunately the brain doesn't work that way. Everything jumbles together, and for him, he prefers to work on dozens of models at one time because he doesn't have to think during that process. So that's like sort of the batch painting mentality. He can just let his mind focus on the brush and not think at all. I think that's a really important, like, I think you can almost see like sort of your personality and what your needs are.
Absolutely.
For how the hobby helps you in that Soren.
Yeah, man. The like, just the fact that you know that that's what you need is over half the battle right there, man.
Yeah, and so and there's Doom. He was summoned by talking about him. And back to like this great community, like. You know, I'm setting up grudges months out. Like, I have more grudges than I have tournaments to go to right now. It's like, people, like, will grudge... Like, I love grudge matches. I think they're just... I mean, the Australians call them playdates because there's nothing chippy about them whatsoever. It's just like you're scheduling a play date with somebody. But
Yeah.
like, it's one of my favorite things about the game. And like, if you cared about pure competition and so on and so forth, grudges wouldn't exist in the game. Because there's a way to game that system. You just grudge soft players all the time and take a free win, right? Or you'd have your friend grudge somebody you think is in contention for, winning the tournament, and then you try to knock them out. Like, there's that side of the brain, or that side of the world that thinks competition first would dislike grudges. And even if I were to go play Magic the Gathering again competitively like I once did, I would go, fuck that. Like, but it doesn't, just because this community is different, you just don't even think about it. You go, hell yeah, I'll grudge you. Let's go. Like,
Yeah.
And Coach is currently, he's been talking about his travel schedule to America. We're supposed to be in a team for Midwest Meltdown. So it's gonna be me and Coach versus the world. We're coming for the trophy and or whatever relevant thing we're coming for to talk shit about.
You guys are gonna break out the tag team championship belts.
Yes.
Go flying off the top ropes right onto the game table. Hell yeah.
Yeah. That's gonna be so good. Like, I can't, like, oh man, I'm gonna have to talk to Coach now. We're gonna have to buy like WWE like championship belts and like cut promos and stuff.
You got to get the what the heck? Randy Savage's sunglasses, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. From the Superpowers, when it was Randy Savage and Hulk Hogan.
Hell yeah.
Oh man, that'd be so good. Well, so that is one thing about the tournament scene, is like they almost become this way to like meet the people. Have you made it to any of the big tournaments, or? Because I know you're locked away in Canada there.
Yeah, I'm securely locked behind the wall. Defending you all. No, it's like, just to sort of go back into like the bullshit that life is that like I got laid off from my job a year ago, and then had to pick up 2 jobs in order to like make up the income. So I've been working every day for the last year, and so it makes it kind of difficult to get out of the house.
At your own pace, man. It's all right. Yeah. No, I had a fiasco with layoff in January, February this year that kind of caused a. That's part of the reason RantCast exists, because I looked at my life and I'm like, I can't keep going this way. Like I had to change some stuff. I had to, just like with hobby, like I have to make a model. I had to make content, and as a writer, I have to make something.
You needed that creative outlet.
Yeah, exactly. And writers are fucking egotistical. Don't let
That's what I hear.
Yeah, like so like you think that you have such great fucking stories and great fucking ideas in your head that other people should read them. And that same ego is what causes some asshole to make a podcast called RantCast. Because I have every opinion and I want you to hear them all.
Oh man. Yeah, that's fitting.
So you you really really wanted to like talk about the community, and so like I really want to like double underline that, is like even locked behind your wall defending us and keeping watch for the
for all nights to come.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you still find ways to connect to the community. What are some of the things that you've found that have helped? Is it really just as simple as like, hey, Twitter, and start a YouTube channel?
Yeah, like the YouTube channel was started out as just like a hobby journal, basically, with like me going through building like a Mordheim table and stuff. And gradually over time, it just turned into like, hey man, there's a lot of people that want to learn how to sculpt stuff and they want to convert their own miniatures and that. And I was like, that is a skill that I have that I could probably help people with. So that's where I moved the YouTube channel to this. So that's the direction it goes in now. Unfortunately, I don't have like a huge amount of time to create content, so it's been slow, but
yeah, no,
hopefully that'll pick up with the changes that have happened over the last month. But that, and just, you know, getting onto Twitter, watching like other content creators like content. You are one of my my mains. I love watching your show. It's just it's fantastic.
Thank you.
No problem, man.
Yeah, I talk about my ego, but I don't know how to take a compliment. I'm just like sitting here, like shifting in my chair. Yeah.
Well, it's like, and then there's other ways too. Like Twitter is a huge thing because like you find out like about stuff through there through other people that you follow and stuff. Like something will have happened to one person. A good example is Tyler Emerson a while ago had to like liquidate his stuff, and everyone was like, everyone who gave him money to take on parts of his army were like, here's the money for it, but I'm gonna need you to hold on to that for like a few years because I don't have room for it.
Yeah,
like in what other fucking place does that happen ever?
Yeah,
nowhere.
Yeah,
nowhere.
Yeah, and everyone was willing to start a GoFundMe and everything like that, and he was like, "Oh no, you can't do that." And so they're like, "Yeah, I'm gonna buy that battle tome, but man, I just don't have room for it on my bookshelf right now."
Mm-hmm. It's like, all right, you don't want us to do it that way. Well, we have other ways. We will help you.
Tyler, I met at I believe that was NashCon for 1 second, like 1 second of talking to him. He just. Like, what a guy. Like, we sat down and we just, like, had this just simple conversation. Just a simple, normal conversation. You go, like, this is a great guy. And to see that, like, that one post broke my heart. But then to see that sort of community buy this guy's models. Like, asterisk and then, like, a sub-post. Like, don't...
Yeah.
Like...
And it's like... Okay, so, like, I have never met Tyler personally, but like I've had interactions with him through like Google Hangouts, on Twitter.
Oh yeah.
All that stuff. And he has a quality to him where he will talk to you and you know that he really cares about what you're saying to him. Like he is the most genuine person that I have like come into contact with so far.
yeah there's
go
on.
He like I was saying, like he just he has a way about him that just makes you feel completely and utterly comfortable to talk to him about pretty much anything, and a feeling that he genuinely cares about what you're saying when you're talking to him, which is huge. Like that's...
Yeah, I mean, there's a guy that should be on RantCast. He's got the invitation. We'll see if he takes it up. But I know he's had some stuff. But he's got an open invitation because, like you say, he's just one of those guys. Like you talk to him, man. He was on. I remember Warhammer Weekly, and I kind of knew of Scrubby and Wells, but like I didn't know Scrubby and Wells was Tyler for like a long time because I have just this. Personally, I have this disconnect between Twitter, like Twitter profiles and personas, and everyone puts up a freaking model instead of their actual face or a dumb cartoon, like I do. And so like I have this little bit of a disconnect, and then you meet the person, and then like you meet him a couple times or whatever. But what it was he was actually on Warhammer Weekly, and it was doing the Sylvaneth tome with a review with Vincent Tom. And I sat there in the audience, just in the live show, and I'm just like, this guy is awesome. It was one of the best Warhammer Weeklies I've ever seen, because you're usually like Vince and Tom have like a certain standard they bring to every episode, which is why it's great watching it every week, because they have just a certain standard that's always maintained because of them. But the guests go up and down depending and on what they're reading, what they're talking about. It's not dissimilar to RantCast, right? Like, I'm sure, everyone's got their favorite episode of this, whether it was the guest or the subject or whatever. But, like, Tyler, it was just like, I don't give a shit about Sylvaneth, but I care about them because he cares about them.
Yeah, it's like you could talk about whatever the hell you want, man.
Yeah, it was very, like, I was very aware of. I just suddenly found myself, like, very aware of, like, the caliber of person and content he was doing, and I'm just like, wow. And he did something I don't often see, which is he asked Vince and Tom questions, which is the opposite of, like, when I was on Warhammer Weekly. Like, I let them say everything, and then I added my opinions when I had my opportunities to talk, and then they asked questions I was not prepared to answer. Like, it was just, like, the opposite. Like,
right, yeah.
Like, it was, like, the opposite. I'm like, man, that's, yeah, so it was just, like, like, I think, but to kind of center this back on the discussion, I think part of ingratiating yourself with the community has to do with, like, actually just consuming the content and interacting with the people on Twitter and hey, I watched your episode of this thing. And, just kind of, just reaching out a little bit, I think, because we do have that caliber of person that wants to talk about the hobby too.
Right.
Right?
Yeah. And, like, that's the thing too, like, it's important to remember that, like, content producer, whatever, it doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. We're all people. Like, do not be like, oh, well, he's probably not even going to answer me. At me, bro. I will fucking every time.
That is really weird. I don't really care about Nagash, but I enjoy the content and the host. Yeah. No, and that's the thing is, like, I think there's very much a passion element to what we do, that takes it to the next level. I mean, if you're passionate about the subject, and that's, I've got a couple people I want to bring on RantCast and stuff, but I'm like, we need to have a rapport or something we're, like, mutually passionate about, or something you're so passionate about it doesn't matter my level, so that we can, like, have a conversation, because once I see that you're interested that hard in it, then I can talk to you suddenly. And so, like, I have some people, I just don't know you, man. Like, I don't know what we talk about. As guests, and sometimes I roll the dice and risk that we're gonna have something in common, but, like, there's very much this passion element, and I find that the people I like the most in the community are people that are just passionate about something. I don't even care what it is, like passionate about lizard men or orcs or fucking werewolves, like, whatever it is. When, like, people are passionate about something, Tristan, like.
Tomb Kings, yeah, absolutely.
My mortal enemy, etc. And I had this moment where, like, when I think I followed a pretty logical progression of getting into Age of Sigmar. I had played Warhammer Fantasy Battle, took a hiatus, came back, and it was Age of Sigmar suddenly, right? So I did what you do, is I went to the internet first, joined Facebook groups, and I went to TGA forums, or the Grand Alliance, if you're not familiar. It was such a meme to make fun of Tomb Kings that, like, I kind of found myself swept up in the hysteria of it, because I like to meme. I don't know if anyone knows this about me.
I never ever would have guessed.
No, like, okay. Like, I like to meme. I enjoy having my villain persona, like, blah blah blah. And so, like, like, at first I'm like, okay, ha ha ha, but then, like, I'm like, okay, recycled points now. There are memes that are evergreen and funny forever, and there are memes that just are old and not funny anymore, and making fun of Tomb Kings and stuff like that. I'm like, like, it got like, it was getting old for me already, and then I met Tristan, and I'm just like, this is a guy who just, like, loves his army. I'm like, I can't be mad at all of the opinions I have on Tomb Kings for whatever, making fun of them because Nagash won, ha 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 ha. Like, all my meme reasons for making fun of Tomb Kings just, like, kind of evaporated a little bit. And, like, now I have a rapport with Tristan, so, like, we can, like, take the piss out of each other. But, like, some random stranger, I'm not just gonna like fucking make fun of Tomb Kings anymore because it feels lazy now. Like I'm not. Yeah, fuck you, buddy. Tristan in chat there. Yeah, it's just like at some point I'm like, but recognizing that passion because that's something that really resonates with me is when I think it's the passion is what makes us nerds. Like you can love football or hockey because you're Canadian. I just assume you do. Like, like. You love like a sport. Well, sports were like the socially acceptable thing to be a nerd about, right? Like you were weird if somebody was talking about football and you didn't know what they were talking about, and you just had to like nod and like, oh yeah, football, yeah, hey, cool. Like you
I like sports ball.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I enjoyed the sports ball. Like like you had to do that, and one thing I just kind of realized in a disembodied moment was I'm like, they're fucking nerds. Like,
yep.
They're just the socially acceptable nerds. And so, like, when around the same time I had that recollection, this happened in, like probably about age exactly 20. But, like, around the time I had that recollection, I've been a nerd my whole life, I realized that, like, the thing that is more important to me about being a nerd isn't what nerd tribe you prescribe to. The DC versus Marvel rivalries, Star Trek versus Star Wars, Age of Sigmar versus, I don't know, all those other bad ones. Like, the rivalry doesn't matter. It's because it's the passion. We all just, like, we have this, like, love of a thing that's just weird and, like, we can't help but talk about it, and it, like, takes up way too much of our life and time, and our spouses or significant others or family members just kind of have to deal with the fact that we love that shit. And when I recognize someone loves something the same way I love the things I love, I can't be mad at them anymore. You know?
Right.
And so I think that you have an inordinate amount of that passion in Age of Sigmar because it does take up so much time. This isn't Magic the Gathering where you just buy a pack of cards, put them together, and you can play. Or literally just fill up your cart on Star City Games, buy a whole deck, and play it tomorrow. Like, as soon as it arrives in the mail. You have to spend time with your models, painting them. You have to, even if you're, like, the worst painter in the world, like me, I go, you know what, I'm pretty fucking proud of this guy. Like, my little Mortec card here.
You are not the worst painter in the world.
I'm alright. I have natural aptitude, and it's just about getting the techniques I already had from when I was actually very immersed in art younger, and then, like, now it's been 20 years and I quit painting and now I'm trying to paint again, like, and just trying to get that stuff back. So I might start out on a higher rung of the ladder or a higher stair, but like I just like anybody else, I have to climb the stairs, right?
Oh man, I saw your model on Twitter there. It looks good.
It looks good. Yeah, like
it does.
Who said? I'm trying to think who said it. Someone said it pretty famously. I don't remember if it was just like a Twitter message or if it was on a show, but they said nobody looks at your models as closely as you do.
Yep, that is so true.
And so, like you put your models on the table, that's like, that's what people see, right? Like, oh, cool, and it looks great. And like sometimes they're like, oh, can I look at that? And they pick it up and then they like look at it. But even me, I'm like, I know where that fucking edge highlight is in the wrong place. Like, I know exactly where it is. So like every time I look at his like skirt, I'm just like, it's fucking right there.
So that miniature with the that was modeled after Artorias,
mm-hmm.
that is the final one. That's after 3 attempts.
Man.
So like, I am super like picky when it comes to how certain things look, and when it doesn't look right, it's like, okay, wait for the green stuff to cure, rip it all off, start all again.
Man, like, and that's the thing is like you spend a lot of time with your army, and I think, and like we're talking about like the sort of like the gaming therapy is you get the thing, you make the thing or the several things if you're Soren and wants to paint entire armies. Like you make the thing though at some point, and I think that's really cool. I think that's part of the reason we're so gung ho about like buying the models is because like we have that little hit of dopamine just from purchasing it, and then we're just like imagining the future where we have put it together already.
Yeah, where like you click buy and it's like you're not even thinking about the process to get there. You got this picture in your head of what it looks like painted already.
Mm-hmm. It took me a long time to hammer down my my paint scheme, because before I even bought the I pre-ordered Feast of Bones pretty early. It was around the time I pre-ordered my Feast of Bones. I got a message from fucking Christian Ware, absolute darling, by the way. He's one of those that you should follow on Twitter. He's very passionate, very funny guy, and one of the first people I ever met at tournaments. He's like, don't paint him purple. Like, his first thing he fucking said to me like, was fucking, don't paint him purple. And so I'm just like, I'm just sitting there just like...
Now I have to.
Well, it wasn't... Like, I didn't... See, that's the thing is I didn't go the contrarian route immediately. It took me a while to, like, be like, fuck it, I'm painting him purple. Like, I had to build up my reserves of, like, defiance. Because, like, I'm like, the first thing I thought is, like, oh, yeah, purple. And then there's one of the pictures for Ossiarch Bone Reapers, they're in the purple armor with, like, the regular bone, and they're just, like, kind of standing there. I'm like, oh, so, like, I have a precedent to do purple armor, because, you know, you have, like, a caliber of hobbyist out there who believes things that should be metal should be painted metal. You know, swords should always be, armor should always be, like, they have that belief. And that's a them thing. And, like, I have a little bit of that, like, because I do think things should look like they do the thing on the table from just a pure rules and gamer stance. So I have a little bit of that. But then I'm like, dude, bone shapers shape the bone with magic, and it's fucking weird at the end. Like, that's their whole thing. They could shape it to be purple. Like, it's magic. I don't have to explain it anymore.
Absolutely. Like, I'm still waiting. I want to see somebody do, like, the full-on samurai army, where it's like, yeah, man. Yeah, with the head crests, and you know what? Like, just do it and, like, put a little bit of green stuff on the mouth and make the mask. Like, make that smile be a samurai, like, death mask.
Yeah, in one whole year, I'll be that level. No, take me like 2 or 3 years. It is my dream to go back and do my full samurai. Like, as it stands, they're far enough. They're good enough to where I don't need to go super hard on them yet.
Right. Yep.
You know, like, I love the sculpts natively, but yeah, it's gonna happen where I get them, like, with the like freaking full samurai. Like, one thing I look at this model and I'm like, okay, the shield's really cool and stuff, but man, I wish that sword, rather than looking more like a saber or it's almost got like a cutlass like vibe. You know what would be cooler? A katana.
Yeah.
And Soren, real quick, you are a really great painter, and just, there's a lesson to be learned from like, you think that all your painting sucks and stuff like that, but, like, you talked about your process earlier, and, like, and that's the thing that my soapbox advice to anybody who's hesitant about hobby or thinks they suck: process and patience will get you a long way. I don't think I'm a terribly great painter anyway, either, but, like, my army's gonna look good on the table. You know, like, people are like, no one's gonna, I don't want to play against his disgusting miniatures with this purple bone men. Like, maybe someone will, and that's actually really funny. But, like, the thing is, like, you just like, painting minis, honestly, any artistic endeavor, there's just rules and steps to figuring it out. Even writing, you know, you go, oh man, I could never write a story. Like, you've read stories your whole life. You know, Once Upon a Time, you're setting, when did it happen? You know, you introduce this person did something. You can write a story too. Like, being a great story writer is recognizing that process and then refining it. Like, same thing with painting is, you know you need a base coat, a wash, and a highlight, right? Like, and then you're just refining it and remixing that, finding better ways to do it. You know, my 50th Mortec guard is gonna look maybe not 50 times better than my first one, but it will look a lot better because I'll have been refining that process as I go, and then I'm gonna go back and paint the fucking first one again, and that is called progress.
Yep. The the problem you can run into with that is that endless striving for perfection.
Mm-hmm.
So like you continually go backwards instead of moving forwards, and it's
Well, I mean, that's the other thing about like with writer's advice that I think translates to hobby advice is know when it's done and then move on
yeah,
to the next thing.
absolutely.
You don't want to keep writing the same paragraph over and over and over again. So, all right, so Soren, I was gonna do this in a different stream, but he's gonna make me open my gift right now. I'm sorry, everybody. He has to go to bed real quick, so I'll grab my Craftsman multi-skeletal here because, god damn it, I stay on brand. Even my multi-tool for work is a skeleton.
That's amazing.
It's Leatherman Skeletool CX. This thing is all I need to get into a switch for a traffic light because I'm good.
That's crazy.
Yeah. All right, so we got awesome. Those cool little plastic thingies that pop when you squeeze them. All right, okay. Oh shit, dude. It painted up bone mason. That's really awesome, man. His spooky boy fell off, but that's just a quick taping away.
Wow.
And you knew that I was already doing the black skeletons, and you got the purple in there. Man, thank you so much, Soren. That's really awesome, man. I don't know what to say. Beyond thanks. It looks great. Wow, cool.
Man, you really suck.
Yeah, you're the worst painter I've ever seen.
No, I was saying about your inability to take compliments and receive gifts.
Yeah,
you suck.
I'm not good at it. I'm super egotistical and stuff, but it's just there. Oh man, the base. This is actually I was talking about the bases, so I'm glad that we think alike. It's just a pile of skulls and stuff, and I was just gonna take my Cygor extra bits from my Cygor box because they come with 35 fucking skulls or something like that, and every base is just gonna be piles of the skulls from the Cygor kit. So
that looks really good, man.
Yeah.
Soren, man, that looks awesome.
I'll get some pictures up on Twitter later. So thank you so much, man. Wow. And one less model I have to paint. I get to go table ready sooner. Fucking sweet.
Hell
man.
yeah.
All right. Yeah, so I guess is there some other big soapbox moment, something else you want to talk about before we close out here?
I just want to say that man, if you're going through some shit, we've all gone through shit. All of us.
Yes.
Varying levels, it doesn't matter. It is what it is to you. And just know that you're not alone, man. This community is more than willing to not only welcome new members in with open arms, but to help those that are already here with whatever they may need. So, if you're going through some shit, do not be afraid to reach out and talk to somebody, okay? That is the most fucking important thing I want you guys to take from this. Is that if shit's hard, fucking talk to somebody. I know it can be difficult to open up, and I know. But fuck, man, you can't bottle that shit up because it'll destroy you.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I don't even have anything to really add to it. There are people in this community, myself included, that are willing to listen. I can't always offer advice on your situation and stuff like that because we've all got our own stuff, like you said. But I can listen and hopefully You've probably got some. If it's really, really bad, really bad situation, really toxic. Hopefully, you've got some resources in your area to help you with that extra tier. If it progresses, if it's if just talking won't help, right? But,
Absolutely.
But you'll find, I think, that just talking does help a lot of the time.
Yeah, like that is the most important thing that you can have is just an ear to listen, man. That's it.
All right. Now I in the flurry of activity here, I dropped my. Pardon me, I moved away from my mic. In the flurry of activity here, I dropped my notepad and probably lost my page. Not that I take notes in this show.
No, never.
Because that would be preparation and preparation. So, I wanted to ask a question. You being Canadian and all, I think you now speak for all Canadians, including Tristan there.
Oh, fuck.
I've got a question for you. Okay, so if Canada were a Grand Alliance, which Grand Alliance would it be? Part 1. And Part 2, can you think of a specific faction it would be within the Grand Alliance?
Holy fuck.
You weren't ready for the random question segment?
No, man. Okay, so I'm going to say that we would be order.
Order, okay, yeah. I mean, Canadians are kinder, I think, than the average.
We are known for being way too nice and apologizing for things that aren't our fault. So there you go.
Yeah.
So, and if I'm completely honest, if I'm gonna take it to AOS levels, I've got to go back to like World War II in my head to make this work.
Yeah, and fair enough. Yeah, however you piece it out or parse it out.
So there's a battle. I can't remember the name, but it happened actually in Germany, and it was wintertime, and the Germans were stationed on top of a hill, and the American forces couldn't make it up this hill because of the depth of the snow and the taking fire and whatnot.
They must not have been from Wisconsin.
Obviously not. But what ended up happening is Canadian forces were brought in, and we actually took the hill from the Germans. So I would liken Canadians to the Order faction, and I would put them under Stormcast because they swoop in and kind of give aid, I would say.
I love this take. This is a great take. And Tristan says it's Vimy Hill. Or Vimy Ridge, sorry. Or Vimy Ridge.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, so Battle of Vimy Ridge. Stormcast Eternal. I like that. Who's the more braggadocious, less good version of Stormcast? Because that's probably what Americans are, right? No, and anyone who invented poutine can't be bad, like as a culture. I don't know if you've had poutine. I know it's trendy now for all the hipster joints to have like poutine, but if you haven't like driven to some diner on in Canada, I used to live in Minnesota, so as a teenager getting my car, we went up a couple times, and I was dating a Canadian. That was a dark time. But like if you haven't had like legit poutine where it really just is fucking cheese curds, like actual fries and gravy, like none of this fucking fancy, like the like hominess is what makes it so good. And like,
oh yeah,
if 50% of the jobs I just assume are lumberjacking, it's the only thing a lumberjack would eat to like go out into the cold.
For sure. Absolutely. Yeah. If you're in Canada, you're either a lumberjack or you're a Mountie. There is no in
between. Right. There is nothing else. I don't know how like you guys get food service or like car mechanics. No, because you don't need to do mechanics on the horses that you have as a Mountie.
That's right. Well, obviously, when you're a Mountie, your cavalry is a moose. It's not a horse.
Oh, right. Right.
The lumberjacks ride horses.
Man, thanks for being such a fucking great sport, man. So if people want to follow you on Twitter and check out your YouTube page, where do they go?
I'm at Marrok Wolf on Twitter, and it's Marrok Wolf on YouTube as well. So.
Oh man, keeping it consistent. See, that's what I failed to do, but that's because my YouTube channel existed before this. So, yeah, thanks, man, so much for hanging out. Chat gang, thanks for being chat gang. If you're watching, listening on the other platforms, remember to like, subscribe, follow, do all that stuff, do all the free stuff that it takes to let you know when I've gone live and or posted a new video. Switch to close.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, man. This was a blast.
Yeah, I think we had a great conversation. Thank you so much for coming on. Thanks for sharing some of your struggles there. I think there's a lot of people out there who they've, like you said before, like we've all kind of gone through some stuff, and there's a lot more people out there that have gone through some stuff than you maybe realize, because we don't often talk about it. And I'm not saying go out and broadcast anything you're uncomfortable with, but if you've got some personal plights, you've just met two guys on the internet, two strangers on the internet, more than willing to like listen to your stories. So
absolutely, yep.
Yeah, and again, thank you so much for being on, Marrok.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man.
All right, good night, everybody.